Hello, já jsem Broňa, nadšený učitel angličtiny z Brna, který pomáhá lidem zamilovat se do angličtiny. Takže vás nadšeně vítám na začátku tohoto videa, kde bych se s vámi rád podíval na americkou výslovnost a taky na to, jak Američani vidí naši výslovnost. Ne, nebojte se, nebudu vám o té americké výslovnosti povídat sám. Do tohohle videa jsem si pozval na rozhovor 4 úžasný americký učitelé ze stránky blabu.com. Jestli neznáte, tak se určitě podívejte, ale teď. Kdo se na vás těší? Tak mám tady Kelin z Aljašky, Chelsea z Chicaga, Hectora z Atlanty a Rolandu z Los Angeles, nebo Los Angeles. A o čem si budeme povídat? Zeptám se jich, jestli existuje něco jako typická americká výslovnost. A pokud ano, tak co je pro tu americkou výslovnost typický? Pak se jich zeptám, jak oni vidí výslovnost nás Čechů. A jestli podle nich se dá poznat, jestli oni poznají, že jsme z České republiky. Začneme mluvit a oni řeknou, Čech. To mě velmi zajímalo. A taky mě zajímalo to, na co jste se často ptali, a to bylo, jestli se dá naučit anglicky mluvit tak, nebo vyslovovat tak, že lidi nepoznají, že nejste rodilí mluvčí. A tak na tohle jsem se všechno zeptal. Krom toho jsem se jich taky ptal, jestli znají nějaké české slova, které pro ně netěší. Dozvěděl jsem se, jak se správně vyslovuje Chicago, no vidíte sami. No a taky jsem mi nechal hádat, co znamená pivo. Tak pokud se chcete dozvědět víc o anglické výslovnosti, teda anglické výslovnosti v Americe, nebo americké angličtiny, a protvičit si poslech nádhernou angličtinou, který všichni 4 mají, tak určitě mrkněte na tohle video. Tak připravený? Tak pojďme na to!
Hi, my name is Kellen, and I am from Fairbanks, Alaska, USA. And my 2 favorite things to do are go outside on adventures and spend time with family.
Beautiful, thank you. So the first questions will be connected with pronunciation. So what would you say it's typical for American pronunciation, or is there even anything like the whole American pronunciation?
Oh, there is no such thing as America having one type of pronunciation for something, because there are so many different languages, cultures, and regions of the US that it's difficult to have one way to say like potato, or pajamas. Like every part of the US is different, but we understand each other, so okay, it works out.
So how about Alaska? Is there any specific, that the way you pronounce things or say things, is it a little different? Or can you tell us a bit about it?
So in Alaska, in Fairbanks specifically, there's a lot of military families. So that means that there's people from all across the US that come and live in Alaska to be a part of the military training or defense or something. So there's many different families and languages and cultures in Fairbanks. But generally, I would say our language is kind of dead from any kind of accent. I have had many people say, you don't have an accent in Alaska. There's not much of an accent, but it depends on the family.
Okay, good. Thank you. And I don't know, is there something specific about the pronunciation of Czech people that you have noticed? Or I don't know, how many Czech students have you had actually?
Yeah, so actually I've been teaching Czech students for the past 5 years, and my husband is Czech.
Wow, so you have a lot of material to study.
Yes, a lot. Yes, so I have a family that is from Czech, so I've gotten used to hearing the Czech pronunciation and how they like to articulate certain thoughts or emotions. So I would say Czech people, in their pronunciation of English words, it's difficult to pronounce words with the TH or W sound in it, or when they have to put certain words together, knowing how to make the sentence flow. So the dog went home. They have a very hard time with
So
that.
how would you say it correctly? How would you say naturally? Can you show us like American style and then Czech style, please?
Okay. All right. So the dog went home. And for Czech, it was na dog went home.
So there is no linking together. Okay.
Yeah, it's harder for them to pronounce some things.
Good. And Is there any, when you speak with person, can you say that the person is from the Czech Republic by the accent? And what is the thing that, kind of gives you the signal, this is a Czech person?
So I would say it's difficult to determine if someone's exactly from Czech because it's a Slavic language. So there's certain things in Slavic language like Polish and Slovakian and even, I don't want to say Russian, but it is similar being Slavic. So it's hard to say if someone's like from Czech, but I actually have an easier time since I have family who is from Czech to determine if they are or not.
Good, thank you. And do you think it's actually possible to somehow, I don't know, like speak in a way that people can't actually say that you're not a native speaker? Do you, because you have a lot of people around you, do you think it's possible for a Czech person?
Oh, can you ask the question just one more time so
yes.
I get it right?
Do you think it's possible to speak for a Czech person with no accent that you wouldn't actually know that it is not a native speaker? If somebody tries hard, do you think it's even possible, or?
I think even for my husband, after 5 years of knowing English, he still has the accent. And I think he always will, because when you are learning to speak, your mouth actually changes based on the language that you are learning from a child. So English learners have one shape or ability to make sounds versus a native Czech person. So it's easy for them in some sounds, and it's impossible for me with some sounds.
Okay, thank you, I understand. And the last question about pronunciation. What is the most difficult Czech word for you?
Oh gosh, Thursday.
So can you say it in Czech, please?
Čtvrtek. I
understood.
Can't say it.
Yeah, it's hard. I agree, actually.
Yeah.
Thank you. Good.
Yes, my name is Chelsea. I'm from Chicago in the United States, and I am a teacher. I've been teaching English and dance and art for about 10 years.
Fantastic. Thank you. And my first question is there anything typical or unique about American pronunciation in your opinion?
Oh yeah, we have so many things that we do that are incorrect that if you are listening to an American speaker, you really have to get used to. Like, we don't say T's, we say T's as D's. So instead of little, it's little, That's a very American pronunciation. We also tend to cram our words together. So I'm going to go to the store, or let's go grab something to eat, We say things smushed together very quickly.
Good. Thank you. And is there anything specific for Chicago? And is it Chicago or Chicago? What's the correct pronunciation, actually?
So we have a tendency to say Chicago or Chicago. We have a Midwestern long A that we kind of drag out. If you're from there, that's something people say. I'm from Chicago. That's like that's kind of our typical pronunciation. The Midwestern accent is actually considered the most neutral accent in the United States, but we do still have some little things that are kind of considered just a Midwestern accent. So like map and don't you know, and all of these kinds of phrases and sounds you'll hear from Chicago people, Minnesota people, maybe even people from Iowa, that whole Midwestern region. We have this very nasally long A sound that we make a lot.
Okay, but it sounds beautiful to me, so thank you.
Oh, great.
Definitely. Actually, I don't know, have you had any Czech students, or are you able to speak about specific of Czech pronunciation in English, or you can just base it on listening to me?
Czech students, the accent for me is not as strong. If I meet a Czech person outside of Czech Republic or outside of Eastern Europe, I actually don't know if they're Czech so strongly, because for my ear, it can be a lot of Eastern European countries. I can't always tell the difference. What comes across to me more about Czech speakers is actually they are the shyest students that I've ever taught before. So it's actually they're reluctant to speak that alerts me to the fact that this is Czech and not Austrian, or this is Czech and not Polish or Ukrainian, because Czech students are always very, very nervous to speak. So they might be at a level 4 speaker and doing really, really well, but they will have a lot more apprehension versus someone from a different country.
Oh, that's interesting. But maybe talking to you will help them to overcome this born shyness, or how should we call it?
I tried myself on being a pretty fun teacher, and I'm very bad at Czech, so that makes my students feel better, is that I cannot pronounce anything properly in Czech, so it takes the edge off a bit.
Yeah, definitely. My next question is maybe a little strange, but do you think it's actually possible to hide your accent? That, when you listen to me or somebody else, let's say from the Czech Republic, that you wouldn't be able to say that they are not native speakers, or this is just impossible?
I do think that it's possible. I think that it's something that takes a lot of many years, usually having to live in a country that's native speaking, whether you live in London or US or Australia, because there are so many things in language that is also about connotation. So it's not necessarily about accent, but how you respond. Because for us, for example, in the United States, if someone asks, how are you doing, especially for women, and we say, oh, I'm fine, that's the perfectly textbook acceptable answer, but most women answer they're fine when they're upset. So so there's a lot of things about culture. It's not just about the accent, but it's also about how you use the language and how you use the word that alerts people to knowing if you're a native speaker or not. But I think people focus way too much on accent reduction. I think accents are beautiful. We all have an accent, and I think what's most important is knowing what words you're using, why you're using them, and making sure that you're using them in a way that is, getting across what you want to be said and what you want to be understood. I think accent is a beautiful thing, and it's a part of your native culture, and you should hold on to that. Just know that, you want to make sure that what you're saying is what you mean, and that therefore the other person is picking it up and understanding what you mean. That's way more important than your accent or sounding American or sounding British. We like your accents. Keep them.
Thank you very much. I couldn't agree more. And the last question is, but I don't know, but do you know any Czech word? Can you say anything in Czech, actually?
Oh my gosh. I'm so bad at Czech. It took me 3 months to say my address properly. I keep it to Dobrý den and ano and pivo.
That's just fine for me.
Pivo, nothing. It's the most difficult language ever for me, but I love Czech culture. I love Czech food, and hopefully when I go back to Czech, I'll be a little bit stronger in my tongue and be able to pronounce it better.
Thank you.
My name is Hector. I am from the United States. I was born in the state of Oregon, but I grew up in the state of Georgia, specifically in the city of Atlanta. My hobbies are taking things apart to see how they work, and all of the artistic endeavors such as painting and drawing and photography and things of that nature.
Fantastic. Thank you. So first, I got some question about pronunciation. I know it's hard to speak about the USA as the whole, but would you say there is something typical for the pronunciation of Americans or the American way of pronouncing words?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think probably the most noticeable thing with people is the hard R, right? This is what we call it. Whenever there's an R at the end of a word or a syllable, you could say, right, we pronounce that R very heavily. And that's probably the most noticeable difference.
Can you maybe just give us an example so people can hear it? Can you say some words that...
Yeah, and I mean, it's right there. It's the hard R, right? It's that exactly right there. At the very end of a word.
Good. Yeah, actually, you said it, but yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
And is there any specific, as far as the pronunciation, let's say from Atlanta or, of that area is concerned? Is there anything unusual or specific?
Okay, so I couldn't really say in the last 5 or 6 years how much it has changed. But the last time I was there, it was very easy to tell somebody who grew up in Atlanta and who were transplants from another city. And mainly it's because of what we call the drawl. And the drawl is when you kind of drag out the syllables a little bit, okay? And we have a very common way of saying things such as like y'all, right? Or sometimes we aspirate some words, like somebody who is native from there. The pronunciation of the word, like in the correct pronunciation would be Atlanta, right? But somebody who's from there or who grew up in the 90s as I did, right? A lot of us, we pronounce it as Atlanta, where we don't say the T's. We don't really pronounce them. We just say Atlanta.
Oh, that's interesting. I've never heard that, so thank you.
Yeah.
And now about Czech people. What would you say is a typical mistake in pronunciation that we Czech people tend to do?
Okay, so if I'm honest with you, I haven't really had a lot of contact with Czech people. I think that with Czech people, the little contact that I've had maybe 2 students that I can think of in the past. And one of the advantages, and I'm going to say something positive here, but one of the advantages that I've noticed that they didn't really have a problem with the pronunciation of the a sound, like the way that we pronounce cat, right? But that's just what I've noticed from the little contact that I've had.
Yeah. So the next one is also connected with Czech, but maybe you can take it generally. Do you think it's actually possible for Czech people, or let's say a foreigner or any person from our area, to speak English with no accent, so you don't actually know that I or somebody else is not a native speaker, or you feel it's always there, you can always spot it?
Okay, so that's a little bit of it's a difficult topic to actually say something accurate about for 2 reasons. One, because there's always kind of a regional accent, right? And then there's specific accents for where they are. So I can tell you in many places, Atlanta being one of them, even in the Pacific Northwest, where you will have kind of a regional way of speaking, but then depending on the neighborhood where you live in, you will use some type of vocabulary, or you will say something a little bit differently. And if you've grown up in this environment, it's easy to pick up for a lot of people. There's some people that don't have that ability, right? But somebody who has grown up there, it's kind of easy to tell. Now, with that said, I have seen many cases where the pronunciation of a student has become almost indiscernible to that of a native speaker. Right? And a lot of what I recommend to do that is, or to be able to achieve a certain level of it, it feels very silly in the beginning, but I recommend to take a movie, like, for example, a Disney movie that you know exactly what it's about. You're not focused on what's happening in the film. But you repeat everything that they say in the way that they do it, right? Or a TV show, a TV series, you repeat what they say. And in the beginning, it feels really silly, but the difference that I've seen in students that do this has been tremendous.
Fantastic. That's a great tip. I recommend the same, but now when you said it, I think a lot of people will give it a try. Thanks a lot. Yeah. By the way, can you say any Czech word?
I have no idea. If you give me one, I'll try to pronounce it. Give me a hard one.
Okay, so in the call before, the American girl, really lovely, she lives actually in the Czech Republic, and she said she can't say Thursday, and Thursday in Czech is čtvrtek.
Okay, say that again.
Čtvrtek. Yeah, you're good.
Of course, my name is Rolanda, and I am from beautiful, sunny Los Angeles, but now I live in beautiful, sunny Madrid, Spain, and I've been here for 6 years, but I'm a Californian at heart.
Beautiful. And can you tell me one thing you love doing? Something makes you happy?
Oh, that's an easy question. That would be salsa dancing. I absolutely love it. Love it, love it, love it. I started about 3 or 4 years ago taking lessons, and ever since I've been perfecting my skill or trying to perfect, if that's possible.
Thank you. So the first part of the questions will be about pronunciation. So my first question is there any typically unique for American pronunciation or maybe for Californian pronunciation?
There is actually. Many of my students and many people have told me that they really like my accent because it's very clear. And I investigated it and I realized that the West Coast accent is very neutral. We call it the CNN accent, where you don't really know what part of the U.S. I could be from. But we also, especially in California, we tend to pronounce our syllables more clearly than, for example, Texas or New York or Boston. Those places have very distinct accents and pronunciation. So yes, I think it's very clear. I hope.
Yeah, it's beautiful. Thank you very much. And can you recognize Czech people like me or other students that, when you start speaking with somebody, can you say that, oh, this is a Czech person? And what is the thing that, helps you to recognize the country of origin?
Not necessarily. I'm starting to recognize Polish, Brazilian, Italian, and French. For some reason, those have very distinct accents, obviously, and the German accent. But with the Czech accent, maybe I haven't had enough exposure to Czech students, but I'm starting to now, and I can tell a slight difference. It almost sounds Polish to me, but I know it doesn't. I know it isn't.
Good. And do you think it's possible to actually hide your accent? I don't know if it's important or not, but do you think that, for example, can I learn to speak in a way that you wouldn't be able to say that I or anybody else is not a native speaker, or it's not possible?
I get this question a lot, and people are really concerned about accents. And I, for one, I feel that accents are a definition of who you are. They're great. They're wonderful. I'm from the U.S. I will always have an American accent, no matter how many years I live in Spain. It doesn't matter. I'm going to have an American accent. You can learn to reduce it, I think, but it's almost, I don't want to say impossible, but it's very difficult to completely eliminate the accent. But it's not important. Accents are good.
Okay. Thank you. And I don't know, do you know any Czech words, or can you speak any Czech, or not at all?
I've been to Prague, which beautiful, beautiful, beautiful city, I must say. One of my favorites in Europe. But no, I can't. I'm having a hard time with Spanish, so I can't imagine trying to speak Czech. So, can you give me a word, something I could learn very easily?
Pivo.
Pivo?
Yes. What do you think pivo can mean?
Pivok?
Pivo. Just pivo.
Pivo. Like, hello?
Oh, that would be nice. It's almost like hello in the Czech Republic, but it's beer, like cerveza.
Oh. Okay, well, that one I have to write down. Hold on, let me... Pivo. Okay, got it. I have to remember that one.
Tak, to byly naše 4 rozhovory se 4 báječnými učiteli. Mě by hrozně zajímalo, jestli je něco, co vás překvapilo. Jestli třeba říkali něco, co jste nečekali. Mě osobně překvapilo to, jak roztomilí a milí jim přešlo, že máme nějaký přízvuk a jak všichni vlastně říkali, ať se ho nesnažíme odstranit. To třeba překvapilo mě, hrozně mě zajímalo, co překvapilo vás, jestli něco. No a pokud byste chtěli, což mi přijde jako super nápad, si s některým z těchto lektorů nebo tutorů z Blabu zavolat, tak není nic jednoduššího, než dolů jsem hodil odkaz. Tam se můžete na Blabu zaregistrovat, dostanete první hovor zdarma, takže vás to nic nestojí. Můžete si některého z nich nebo kohokoliv jiného vybrat a potrénovat si angličtinu tak, že si pokecáte v správným rodilým mluvčím. Jinak tady někam se pokusím hodit odkaz ještě na to, jak se na Blabu zaregistrovat, jak vypadá ten hovor a tak. Já jsem si to zkusil sám na sobě, tak si to klidně můžete vyzkoušet taky. Určitě doporučuju. No ale hlavně, don't forget to stay awesome and dream big. Bye bye.